We are charged up for our final charge of this campaign as we head through southwestern Ontario. I just want to give a quick shout out to Carol Dick in London North Centre, Zach Ramsey in London Fanshawe, Colleen McCauley in London West, and Amanda Stark in Elgin, Middlesex, London. Like all over this province, we have fantastic local candidates who are doing a great job in delivering the Green Party's message, new solutions to old problems. And we have felt the momentum building throughout this campaign. And I'm just saying to everyone across this province who has said, especially after the leaders' debate, that they want the vision and the solutions that the Ontario Greens are providing in this campaign, that if you want green, vote green. Yeah! This election comes at a critical moment in time for our climate and our economy. And the Ontario Greens know that we can deliver the economic solutions this province needs if we address the climate emergency, because climate action is job action. Yeah. But sadly, you would not know that watching the campaigns of the other parties who have barely talked about delivering solutions for the climate crisis. Half measures and taking us backwards will not get the job done. We have to stop Doug Ford's anti-climate and anti-job agenda. You know, he spent the last 4 years ripping up renewable energy contracts. He's planning to ramp up expensive fossil fuel gas plants, increasing climate pollution by 400%. His interference in the Hydro One and ripping up renewable energy contracts even led people like the Ontario Chamber of Commerce to question whether Ontario was a safe place to do business. He's dismantling climate action plans. He's dismantling environmental protections, even those brought in by previous Conservative governments. And he's paving over the farmland that feeds us, that is so critical to our economy. And we know, the Ontario Greens know, there is a better way forward. This decade alone, 65 million jobs worldwide will be created in low-carbon goods and services. And so the question we have to ask Ontarians, as you decide who to vote for in tomorrow's election, is Ontario going to lead the world in developing and creating those 65 million jobs, bringing the investment and new career and better job opportunities to this province? Or are we going to continue to follow behind by following the policies of Doug Ford? Today, the Ontario Greens are highlighting our commitment in our plan to crush climate pollution, of building a $4 billion climate bank to fund green entrepreneurs and to support the commercialization and scaling up of new climate economy businesses, including a $5 billion Green Innovation Fund to help Ontario be the global leader in an electric vehicle mining to manufacturing supply chain, to build the battery and other storage solutions we need, that the world needs, to make renewable energy more affordable and reliable. Investing in things like bioproducts and biomanufacturing to take advantage of the farms in this province to create low-carbon goods and services in Ontario. We have the solutions. We have the innovations. We have the technology. We have the skilled labor force to be global leaders in the $26 trillion new climate economy, to attract and maximize the job opportunities in the 65 million jobs that will be created worldwide in the new climate economy. And the Ontario Greens know that's the Ontario people want to build. An Ontario that addresses the climate emergency in a way that answers the concerns that people have about the rising cost of living and sets our economy up for success. That's the leadership we're providing in this election, and every vote for Ontario Greens in tomorrow's election is a vote that says this province is open for business, open for jobs, open for investment in the new climate economy. I'm happy to take any questions.
We'll now take questions from the ground.
Jennifer Beeman, London Free Press. How are you feeling about your chances in Parry Sound, Muskoka?
Jennifer, we're very optimistic that the Ontario Greens in this election is going to see a significant increase in our vote share in ridings all over the province, and we're very confident that we can double or even triple our seat count at Queen's Park.
It's been a bit of a sleepy campaign, not a lot of, yes, I'm sure you know. Are you kind of worried about, with the PCs poised for a majority potentially, are you worried about the next 4 years under Ford, or are you worried that kind of COVID concerns and affordability have really kind of taken the center stage away from climate issues for voters?
Well, you know what I'm excited about is the fact that the one party that seems to have momentum in this election campaign is the Ontario Green Party. And I think people, especially after they saw the opportunity we presented of our vision and our policy priorities to build the Ontario they want, to deliver new solutions to old problems in the leaders' debate, we've been building momentum since then. We're going to continue to build that momentum. And my message to voters is we don't have to allow Doug Ford to pave over our future. Vote green in tomorrow's election and send a message that we will protect the people and places in this province.
Hi, Mike. Andrew Graham, Global News. Obviously, today's the last day of the campaign. Why visit London today?
You know what? It just feels so important to visit Southwestern Ontario because we believe that Southwestern Ontario is perfectly positioned to be a global leader in the new climate economy. And I especially want to deliver the message today about the connection between our manufacturing expertise in building the vehicles of the future, not just personal electric cars, but also electric transit, electric bikes, and other forms of electrified transportation. The opportunities we have in renewable energy production and generation, and finally the connection between local food and farming and the bioproducts and the importance of protecting and supporting local food supply chains, particularly at a time when food prices are going through the roof due to geopolitical events. I believe London is perfectly positioned to be a leader in the new climate economy, and that's the message I'm delivering to voters across Southwestern Ontario today.
Hi, Mike. I was just wondering, what's your chance? What do you think the chances are getting a seat here in London? I know London North Centre is a real hot riding, so what do you think the chances are?
You know what? That's up to the voters, and we're going to continue to keep building on the momentum we have, not only here in the London area, but throughout the province. We have fantastic candidates. I mean, in London North Centre, Carol Dick, for example, is, I think, run a fantastic campaign, and we're going to continue to build on that momentum. We know, and I want to be clear, somebody asked about Parry Sound earlier. We know, and I can tell you this as a small business owner, that you go through a process as you build a new political party and as you build a new business. Electing that first seat in 2018 was critically important. Electing a second or third seat even in this election is important. As we build towards building this political movement to build the Ontario people want. You know, PEI went from 1 seat to 2 seats to forming the official opposition. The BC Greens went from 1 seat to 2 seats to 3 seats, holding the balance of power in a minority government. The Ontario Greens are going to continue to build on the momentum we have in this election.
There are no other questions on the ground. We can now go to Zoom.
Thanks, Jess. We'll now go to Zoom questions. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function, and I will call on you. Looks like first up we have Jack Howen from QP Briefing. Jack, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Just on the news about BC and decriminalization, do you think the 2.5 gram limit is enough?
No, I was disappointed the federal government had an opportunity to have a higher threshold. We know that if you follow the evidence, you follow the science, you follow the best practices in other countries around the world, I look at Portugal in particular, that decriminalizing substances has led to lower use of substances and the saving of lives. We have a public health emergency in Ontario due to the opioid crisis and the drug poisoning crisis. We need to take action to save lives and improve people's quality of life. And so we know that decriminalizing substance use is an important part of saving people's lives. And we also know that investing in expanding consumption and treatment sites, harm reduction programs, and ensuring that people have access to permanent supportive housing with wraparound mental health, addictions, and other supports are vital to addressing the drug poisoning crisis in this province.
Thanks. And what would a safe supply program look like under a Green government?
Yeah, it would look like us working in partnership with the federal government to decriminalize substance use at a threshold level that's guided by science and by experts. It is a government that says we are going to declare substance use and drug poisoning a public health emergency, not a criminal justice issue. It is making sure that people have access to harm reduction as a treatment, as a pathway to treatment in this province, not as a stigmatization that we've seen coming from some folks in this province and some political parties in this province. And finally, it comes with us stabilizing people's lives by ensuring that everyone in Ontario has an affordable place to call home. Our plan to build 60,000 permanent supportive housing spaces with wraparound mental health, addictions, and other supports is vital to stabilizing people's lives, improving the quality of their lives, improving the quality of our communities, and addressing the drug poisoning crisis in this province. Experts have shown that every $10 invested in permanent supportive housing saves $21.72 in other costs, healthcare costs, criminal justice costs, social service costs. So let's get on with making the investments in improving people's lives.
Thanks, Jack. Next up, we have
He
Matt
agrees
Bingley
with
from
that
Global
answer, I think.
News. Matt, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Mike. I'll try not to honk as I drive by here. I'm just wondering, we already heard from one reporter there that this is a sleepy campaign, and I don't think anyone would really argue that. And I'm just wondering what you think is sort of behind that tone, and if you're getting a sense of voter apathy when you're on the trail.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm feeling incredible excitement and energy and momentum for the Ontario Greens, not only here in London, but across the province, and especially in ridings like Parry Sound, Muskoka. We do know, and we've seen this, that I do think the pandemic has affected campaigns for all parties all across the province. You know what? It's been a hard 2 years. Like, it really has been. So many people's lives have been deeply affected. You know, far too many Ontarians, especially those with loved ones in long-term care homes, have tragically lost a loved one. And so many small businesses have been hit so hard and are still struggling to survive, which is why, you know, the Ontario Greens have put forward so many solutions around what we can learn from the pandemic and improving our healthcare system, putting care before profits in long-term care, and supporting small businesses. But we know those experiences have affected people. And I think they have affected engagement in this election. And I think that's entirely understandable.
And where your campaign really does rely on excitement and people turning out to actually vote to carry on that momentum, do you have any concerns about a potential low voter turnout?
Well, you are accurate in your observation that Green campaigns succeed with people-powered change. And where Greens get elected, it's because we've been able to engage and mobilize a significant number of volunteers. We've seen that in my election in Guelph. We see that in elections of Greens across the country, frankly. And I can tell you that we have seen a significant increase in the number of people coming out volunteering in our campaigns, the number of sign requests, the number of donations coming in since the leaders' debate. So I think the leaders' debate really created a sense of momentum for the Ontario Greens, and we know that we tend to be more successful when we have a higher voter turnout, and so we're going to push really hard, today and tomorrow to really encourage people to go out and vote. And of course we want them to vote, period, but of course we want them to vote Green.
Thanks, Matt. Next up, we have Randy Thomas from 93.1 The Border. Randy, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Very quick question. I guess, do you think you've done enough as the leader of the Green Party to get that message out to voters to vote Green?
Well, Randy, I would say that this is the largest campaign the Ontario Greens have ever run. We've had more resources, more staff capacity, more volunteer engagement than we've ever had in the past. And so we're hoping that, especially given the opportunity we had in the leaders' debate, to really, for the first time in the history of the Ontario Green Party, to show people what our vision is, how we're offering new solutions to old problems in the leaders' debate, will translate into an increase of our vote share across the province and a doubling of our caucus at Queen's Park.
Technology has kind of played a big part of this election by doing these Zoom meetings and talking to media that probably wouldn't be on your trail in a normal campaign, I guess. How important is that, and do you think that you would continue these type of Zoom meetings going forward once you're elected?
Randy, absolutely. I think making ourselves available to answer media questions from across the province whenever we have media availabilities like this, I think is critically important. I mean, obviously, visiting communities, across the province and meeting with people face to face, that's very hard to replace. But I will say, I'm proud of the fact that the Ontario Greens, we're an open and transparent party. We show up for work. We show up for debates. We show up to answer questions from the media, because I believe that's what the people of this province deserve. They need to know where we stand on the issues. They need to know that we're actually going to show up, do the job, and answer the tough questions.
Thank you. Any other questions from the Zoom? Please use the raise hand function. Okay, that's everything from the Zoom for now.
Okay, well, I just want to say thanks once again to everyone for being with us today. Thanks again to our team here in London. You're doing an amazing job. And I want to just reiterate that this election comes at a critical moment in time. Global scientists, the International Panel on Climate Change, and others have clearly said that we are in a now or never moment to address the climate emergency. And the Ontario Greens have put forward a plan that shows how we can crush climate pollution and address people's cost of living concerns and set our economy up for success in the new climate economy while protecting the people and places we love in Ontario. That's the leadership that the people of this province deserve. And that's the Ontario that the Ontario Greens will work with you to build. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and go out and vote tomorrow.
Recording.